Adios, Joe Master Lee.
And Lulu.
All right, they just dropped a Diablo 4 trailer, this time showcasing a new character you can select, the Necromancer. And I have a very strong vested interest now in seeing what they do with this game.
Yes, you almost got the job, isn't it?
Guess I could talk about it now. I was interviewing for a role on the Diablo team. Ultimately, I turned it down.
Why? Tell them, John. Tell them.
Well, I'll tell you, this was not an easy choice because I love Diablo. One of those games that every time a new one comes out, my family gets together, we play through it, we grind together. This was potentially going to be that dream job. And I was going back playing Diablo 3 and wow, it was such a great experience. I tore through it in a weekend. And that's what it takes for these kind of interviews with these companies. They want you to know the game. They want you to love the game, which means that every time I interview for a new job in the game industry, I throw in a lot of hours. And it's funny because that's what it takes to get a job in this industry.
Well, it makes sense, right?
It does make sense. But Diablo, yeah, this one was tricky, right? Without giving away too much, they were looking for someone to help run the business side of Diablo. The team has somewhat been overhauled in the last couple of years. Development had been tricky, but now they got this new guy on board who's leading as general manager, who is great. They got a new chief product officer who's great. And yeah, they wanted someone like me to come in and be the leader of the business. And I thought long and hard about it and ultimately decided I'm going to pass. Not an easy choice.
Yeah, knowing the numbers are...
Yeah, knowing the numbers. They were paying very, very well. When it came down to it, the challenge for me was that Activision is in this rather transitional phase, to say the least. It's been through a lot of controversy, and because of that, there's been a lot of turnover in the organization. And now Microsoft is planning to acquire them, right? Do I want to come on board into an environment where something could change dramatically in the next 6 months? It's not unheard of in a acquisition scenario that your whole team, your whole company could just be completely regutted. So everything they're telling me about how awesome this opportunity is
could change.
Totally could change. Absolutely could change very dramatically to the point where you could even lose your job. So it's not unheard of for just big dramatic things happening. And because of that, even though I really love the brand, I felt like it was just better to wait until after things have cleared a bit. A little bit of smoke has cleared. Once Activision becomes a Microsoft, which at this point, is maybe a 75% done deal. It's still not 100%. Then, it might be worth going back. Even though by then they're like, sorry, John, you missed the boat. This thing's already sailed. So the mobile game is already launched. Diablo 4 is still coming. And I want to see what they do with it because I'm really rooting for the team. I'm really hoping that they could pull it off. It's a big, big game, and it's exciting. If you want to hear more of these kind of interesting stories behind the scenes, what it's like working in the game industry, well, follow my podcast.
There you go. And if you want some hotness, check out my fantasy show.
All right, let's do this, y'all. And away we go.
I speak now to those who heed a darker call.
I cannot believe they would show something like this in a trailer.
Aye!
That's gruesome.
Those
That was not appropriate for kids.
Cross the line of sin for deeper knowledge. Who follow an unquenchable yearning.
Shaved ice.
Born of blood and bone. To unlock the forbidden secrets and foulest black rituals, calling forth life from death.
Tell me your secrets.
Oh.
Why would you do that right after you brought him back to life again? That dude had to die twice.
To truly embrace this power, you must take it into the world. And you will be shunned, scorned, marked as a living sacrifice to this profane knowledge. You will be a priest of Rathma, a necromancer. confront the darkness alone.
It's a very emo Necromancer.
We are the speakers
Looks like Marilyn Manson decided to go out for Halloween treats.
have no mercy.
See, that's what's awesome about Necromancer. You can always build your own posse from whatever. You ain't gonna get chicks with that posse, but nice touch. It's like you can pick me now. That totally looks like Marilyn Manson dressed up like he's about to go Halloweening. They could have done a tweak or two to the design.
Is the next generation of action RPG melding
I mean,
monster slaying and
it's one of those games that is just a fun diversion. You don't have to think too deeply, even though the mechanics are very, very deep. Like, you can just jump in and play. It's not like Street Fighter, just button mash. But if you really want to min-max your character and really kind of figure everything out, it's you can spend so much time just doing that.
I was really enjoying watching you play this game.
It's fun. It's really beautiful, and it's just, how would you say, very visceral. And you just get into a zone, and you just get into. Now, if you're wondering about the role that I was like planning to interview for, without getting too much detail, because I still think it's one of those things where I got to be careful what I say under NDA. You know, Blizzard is really thinking about how to build out each major game as its own business unit, right? It's not just the Blizzard of old would always be very game design centric rather than business centric. So meaning that they would do a really good job creating the game itself. But as a business, which I think Riot has really done well with, say, like League of Legends as a template, you can do all sorts of things with the brand, right? You can have merchandising, you have books and backstories, TV shows, right? But in order to do that, you really have to build a business around that type of thinking. And so I was going to be a player, if you will, a leader in that space of helping to think about, you know, how to turn this game into a long-running franchise. So it's really exciting stuff. I love the business side of gaming.
Which you're always good at, you know.
I've always been good at it, yeah. And you know what the secret is about being good at business side of things? Is ultimately you got to be good at what you're selling, which is, for me, like being a gamer. Love creating games, love playing games.
Right.
And you'd be surprised at the number of people on the business side of the gaming that don't play games. So that's my leg up. That's my secret weapon. That's really cool. That's like a boss battle from Fast and Furious 5 where they're pulling around a giant safe, throwing it around.
Is that monster like puking everywhere?
It's so easy to create a community.
One of the big challenges about this game, and I've been thinking about from a business perspective, is that how do you have a business model that sustains it long term? Because the game really is, you buy it once, so you can keep playing again, over and over, endlessly, right? But for the business to be able to thrive, they have to be able to add new content in a way that is, one is they can make money from, but also feel like it's very fair to the users. And Diablo 3, I think they launched like 1 or 2 add-on packs, but it would take like a long time for them to create it. And so by the time you want to come back to play it, it's already like a year or 2 later, and you already forgot about it. So it doesn't work. It's really hard to create enough content to keep people satiated and to keep coming back and wanting to pay more when they can literally beat everything like, you know, a weekend. You have to create
So
a
time
system
is
like
very
this
important,
that
yeah?
allows you to kind of like branch, figure out, and it's, yeah. Timing to be able to create content, the speed of which you do it, but also the way you design it so that there's always sort of progression and mastery that can be introduced is really, really tough. And I would say it's one of the things that Blizzard still kind of hasn't nailed just yet. Their content schedule is generally really, really slow. And I get it. They always want to try to perfect their games. And they're known for that. They're just saying, we will take whatever it takes, however long, to make the best games. And they do. But that's the downside, which is sometimes it takes too long, and then your fans, they lose
You
interest.
lose the
Yeah. And Diablo, really is a long-running franchise. It is a perennial. But in terms of franchises, right, the amount of money they make, it's a $1 billion franchise, first of all, right? It's a big amount of money. But for a $1 billion franchise, is it talked about day to day like some of these other games that are like top of mind, right? Whether it's Fortnite, whether it's Minecraft, whether it's Call of Duty, that games that are able to find a cadence where they're updating frequent enough that people want to keep coming back again and again. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. So hopefully with Microsoft, again, assuming, the deal goes through, I think it will at this point. If it goes through, Microsoft can add some of that knowledge of how to market games, right? Because they're really good at creating iteration. Good or bad, they're really good at iteration. All right, y'all. Pretty exciting. This ain't coming out to 2013. That's been pushed back. So this goes to show you, I would have come on board working on this game and been cranking. Oh my God, we got to launch it and realize, now I've been pushed back again. Just, this thing's been pushed back forever at this point.